May 2026. Excited. The fire month inside the firehorse year for business. Something important is happening in May 2026, but the strange part is most people won't notice it at first. Nothing about it will look dramatic on the surface. There won't be a single event you can point to and say, that's it. But if you're paying attention, you'll start to feel that things are moving faster, decisions are getting tighter, and small mistakes are no longer staying small for very long. This is where most people misread the situation. They assume that what's coming is some kind of external problem they need to defend against. In reality, what's coming is pressure that reveals what has already been there all along. The real question is not whether May 2026 is going to be intense, because it will be. The real question is whether what you've built can actually hold when the environment stops giving you time to adjust slowly. 2026 is a firehorse year. If you strip away all the dramatic language, it really just means an environment where everything speeds up. Reactions happen more quickly, people act before they fully think things through, and the distance between an action and its consequences becomes much shorter than most business owners are used to. Now, when you get to May, you're not dealing with some mystical double fire horse situation. It's more practical. You have a fire month inside a fire dominant year, and that combination creates amplification. Not chaos, not randomness, but amplification. What is already working in your business starts moving faster and showing results more quickly. And what is weak, unclear, or loosely held together starts to show cracks much earlier than you expected. This is where the misunderstanding usually begins. People think the year is creating problems for them. In reality, the year is simply removing the buffer that once hid those problems. You're not stepping into disruption for the sake of disruption. You're stepping into exposure. And once exposure happens at speed, you don't get the luxury of fixing things quietly behind the scenes anymore. When this kind of environment shows up, it doesn't introduce new issues into your business. It accelerates the ones that you've been tolerating, postponing, or simply not looking at closely enough. Most of the time, they show up in three very specific areas. The first place you'll feel it is in your decision making. When the environment speeds up, hesitation becomes visible in a way it never was before. Decisions that used to feel careful suddenly start to look like uncertainty. At the same time, the opposite problem appears. Instead of slowing down too much, people react too quickly, making decisions to keep up with the pace rather than because they are clear. You end up with this strange tension where some people freeze while others burn themselves out, moving without clarity. But under a fire-driven cycle, both hesitation and impulsiveness get exposed quickly, and the cost of each becomes very real, very fast. The second pressure point shows up inside your team and your structure. This is where things get uncomfortable. Speed doesn't break strong teams, it reveals weak alignment, unclear roles, and leadership habits that were never designed for pressure. If your team depends on you for every decision, you become the bottleneck the moment things move faster. If your processes are filled with unnecessary steps, those inefficiencies become impossible to ignore. Many leaders misinterpret this as a people problem, when it's actually a structure problem. Under pressure, people don't change. They simply behave according to the system they're in. If the system cannot support speed, the team cannot perform at speed. The third pressure point is the one most people underestimate: authenticity. N, not in a fluffy, branding sense, but in the real sense of whether what you say and what you do actually match. Fire brings visibility, and visibility removes the space where inconsistency can hide. Any gap between your message and your reality becomes noticeable much faster. In a slower market, you can get away with that. People take longer to decide and give you the benefit of the doubt that lets your team. But in a fast-paced environment, people make decisions quickly, relying on clarity and coherence rather than persuasion. If your positioning is vague or your business is built more on narrative than substance, this is where it starts to lose traction. This is the part where most people either panic or overcompensate. They assume the answer is to either slow everything down or to push even harder. Neither approach works when the environment itself isn't slowing down for you. The real strategy isn't about resisting speed or blindly chasing it. It's about learning how to operate with speed without losing control. The first shift is in how you make decisions. You don't need more time, you need cleaner thinking. This allows you to move quickly without being reactive. It means knowing when you're clear enough to act and having the discipline to pause when you're not, even if everything feels urgent. Urgency is one of the biggest traps in a fire cycle. Staying steady requires awareness that most people haven't trained. The second shift is structural. You need to be honest about how your business actually operates. If every important decision still flows through you, your growth is limited by your capacity, not your opportunity. This is the time to remove friction, clarify roles, and create a system that lets your team move without waiting for you. Speed rewards clarity, not control. Once your structure is clear, your team can move faster without creating fusion. Let me know in the comments which of the three pressure points, decision making, team culture, or authenticity, you are most concerned about. Denji confusion. Let me know in the comments which of the three pressure points, decision making, team culture, or authenticity, are you most concerned about? I'd be interested to see what you are all feeling. The third shift is in your positioning. This is not the time to experiment with your identity or chase every opportunity. The more the environment speeds up, the more expensive the distraction becomes. Instead of expanding outward, refine inward. Get very clear on what you stand for, what problem you solve, and who you serve. When decisions are made quickly, clarity becomes your biggest advantage. The businesses that benefit aren't the ones doing the most. They're the ones that are the easiest to understand and trust in a short amount of time. When you bring this down to the ground level, it becomes very practical. In marketing, it's not about producing more content for the sake of it. It's about making sure that when people see you, they understand you immediately. In investments and finance, this is not a year where timing alone saves you. Opportunities will appear quickly, but so will mistakes. Discipline becomes more important than excitement. And in operations, everything gets real. If your back end is messy, speed will break it. But if your systems are clean and intentional, speed will scale it. If this is landing for you, then you already know this is not about learning something new. It's about tightening what you already have. Once the pace increases, you don't get the luxury of fixing things slowly or quietly anymore. If this strategic briefing resonates and you want to go deeper, I've prepared a detailed Firehorse leadership guide. It breaks down these strategies with checklists and actionable steps. You can download it for free at the link in the description. So, May 2026 is not a crisis waiting to happen, and it's not an opportunity waiting to be grabbed. It is a mirror that shows you exactly what is working and what you have been avoiding. Once things become visible under pressure, the decision becomes very simple, even if it's not easy. You either fix what is exposed or you allow it to break. That's the part people don't like hearing because it removes the illusion that success is about timing alone. In reality, timing only reveals whether what you built was ever strong enough to begin with. The fire is not here to destroy anything. It's here to make everything obvious. And once things are obvious, the only question left is whether you're willing to deal with it.